I first started buying 10 years ago, I was literally, again, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just kind of started buying stuff. But most of my focus was cash flow, because everybody talks about cash flow, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow.
Right.
But the thing is, I didn't have any income at the time. So I actually needed the cash flow to finance my life. Right now I have enough income elsewhere coming in monthly. I don't give a shit if a property gives me $300 a month cash flow. I don't care.
Right.
So my investment focus has completely switched to just growth.
Okay.
I want properties that are going to appreciate and pay down the mortgage and give me no hassle.
My name is Greg Campbell, and this is Real Estate Reality, where I drop knowledge about the real estate industry, health, wealth, and success. Let's get into it. Yes. Let's get into it. You know who I am. It's Greg Campbell. This is Real Estate Reality. Today, I have a very special guest. His name is Brock Frost. Many of you watching this will know who Brock is. What an amazing human that he is. We're going to talk about his life, where he came from, how he got to where he's at now, where he's going, and his multiple businesses. He's a serial entrepreneur, private lender, investor, speaker, novelist, multiple novelists. He's on his third book now. Anyways, mortgage mastermind. Anyways, let's bring him on. Brock, how are you?
I'm shy, man. I'm nervous. You know me. I get a little bit nervous when I'm in front of the camera, right?
I forgot to say that you're an international traveler.
Oh, that's true.
Like, what is it? Like 5 months out of the year you try to travel, and you work the whole time you're away, but it's 5 months. That's your average, right?
That's about right. So this year alone, I've already been gone 11 weeks. So almost like we're only in mid-April, and I've been gone 11 weeks. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. And even when I'm in Canada, I'm usually gone. We're currently sitting in a cubicle in some Toronto workspace just to talk to your fine self, man. So always on the move, man. Keeps me looking young, right? If
the backdrop behind you was all kind of like that stone, I would think that you were definitely traveling somewhere, a little bit more, like you were in some type of private room in Spain. I don't know why that's coming into my mind, but
that's for next episode.
That's for the next episode. So let's get right into this here. You're in Toronto right now, and you're in Toronto for it was an investors conference, right? That you put together with Brad Vanderwall.
So Brad Vanderwall, obviously a real estate guru, you know him well. There was a conference there generally designed for realtors, and we were talking about how to buy and sell massive amounts of property. So I was the mortgage broker on that leg. I mostly talked about how I talked about how you got to have your financing locked down, especially in this market when everything's unconditional. And I gave numerous examples where, someone thought they were pre-approved and then wasn't. So I really talked about how really to strengthen your pre-approvals so that they make sure that your deal's not going to fall apart. So it was good, man. A lot of contacts. I met a guy last night, 33 years old, realtor, $3 million a month.
Come on.
I couldn't believe it. I said, yeah, right.
$3 million a month.
I saw it on his pay stubs, and we were out for dinner, man. He bought a Ferrari at the table.
So he's just balling.
Like, I'm just like, wow. I'm like, dude, I feel inferior, but I love hanging around with people like that just because it constantly inspires you to be better, right? Like, I do well, but I'm like, $3 million a month is almost like you're a professional athlete, man. I mean, you're talking 40 million a year at 33. That's just astronomical amounts of cash. But he's got this system. Like, he was dropping 40 grand a month on Facebook ads alone. Right. So
interesting.
Impressive, man. Just come out of nowhere. He just came from nothing and then everybody at the table. One guy's like, he looked like he was half homeless. And he's like, I did 3.5 million last year.
And were most of these guys, they're on the investor side of things, or they're actually in the real estate mortgage business?
These were all realtors, right?
Wow.
But my pitch was kind of like how to attract more investor clients as an agent. So some of the lingo, I was teaching them lingo, how they can sound more intelligent, be more intelligent, keep more loyal clients on the investor side. So even, and a lot of these guys, they don't know anything, right? They have mass productions, but they're not investors themselves. Like this guy that makes
right.
$3 million a month, you only own 2 properties. I'm like, dude, you could buy everything and anything. You just,
Really, that's, man, I guess, you know what? I need to take your course, and we talk all the time, but I need to take your course. I need to sign up, take a lesson.
I'm ready, buddy.
A professional lesson.
It was great, but it motivated me. Like they learned from me, but trust me, I learned from them too. Like a lot of the, you can't get into this, you can't do well in the real estate or mortgage or any business if you can't scale it. You got to learn to scale it. You have to have all the technology and the systems in place and the people in place, or you just run out of time.
Yeah, and you have to level up constantly. Just like you're saying, like you were sitting there at the table, like shocked, you know what I mean? And, most people would be hanging out with you, being like, wow, I'm hanging out with Brock. There's a lot I could learn from Brock. And you're saying like, you always got to keep learning, obviously.
Yeah, we were a table of 8 guys and 1 girl. I might have been the smallest income earner at the table.
Wow.
But they were taking my advice. One guy had no knowledge of private lending, but he's very interested. So, you kind of have to, it was, you're knowing that how much money they make, but they're looking at you for advice. It was kind of overwhelming there,
That's cool, man.
But,
okay.
Yeah, cool.
Well, listen, so let's get into the backstory a little bit here. What drove you to get into the world of finance initially? Like, was there one particular thing or moment that happened?
I was broke, man. I think is what kind of motivates you, right? Like, I mean, kind of my story, but from people that don't know, like when I was, like, I'm 40 years old today. When I was 30, I bought my first house. So, and I had just finished trialing for 5 years, and I was just broke, man. I mean, I just didn't want to be broke anymore. You're constantly stressing about debt and student bills and all this. And I'm just like, I've been broke and I've not been broke. And trust me, not being broke is a lot better. And I just said, and I was raised in a middle class home by any standard, had my student debt, my shitty old car, my first car, I didn't come from anything. And I just said, I don't want any of this, man. So I think it was just, I saw both, and I always looked up to people that had cash or had the things going on. And so you had a choice. I was like, you know what this life is about. You see your parents struggle to pay your bills or whatever, and then you have this other option. So you just kind of, by pure not wanting to be average, I had to find a way.
And did you pretty much build your own systems, or did you have a mentor at the beginning as well?
I had no mentor, and that's why I kind of like being a mentor now. I tell my clients, like, don't do what I did. When I started buying I bought 20 properties my first 3 years, which is insane, and it is insane. But I made so many mistakes, and I look back to, like, if I knew what I knew now back then, I'd be a trillionaire. Well, maybe not trillion, but probably in the hundreds of millions. Like, it's just so I mean, that's the beauty of coaching, I think, too, is like you're not reinventing the wheel. Just do what other successful people are doing.
Yeah. And make it your own.
Correct. Yeah. So right now I have really, really good systems because, but you kind of learn as you go, man. You kind of do something. Well, that didn't work. And then you go here, right? And you start to kind of find what works. And then the systems just help you scale it, right?
And it makes it fun too, because if you knew everything from the jump, then it wouldn't be as fun. And you wouldn't have the experiences.
It's fun to do it on your own, right? Like I didn't get any handouts. I didn't have my mom or dad give me my first down payment. I didn't win the lottery. I just my first down payment was a borrowed money off a line of credit. So, and that was only 10 years ago. And I'm just like, I got like 30 or 40 million dollars in properties right now. And I just look at it, that's pretty fucking cool.
That's really cool, man. For 10 years, it seems, when you're young, 10 years seems like a lot, but as you get older, 10 years is nothing, basically.
It's not. I look back, so 40 today. I mean, when I'm 50, I mean, I don't even think I can actually imagine where I'll be at. Exactly. No, because it can just go up, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man.
Okay. So let's talk about mortgages and private lending.
Sure.
Are those are your primary sources of income right now, or is the investment side of things? Actually, let me step back for a second. Mortgages and private lending. Is your primary source one or the other, and how well do they work together in helping your clients, especially?
Yeah, so I guess the mortgage broker income is my primary source of income, meaning money coming in right
Right.
now. But then I use that to fuel my investments. So like I'm buying all these projects out west and wherever in Canada, Ontario, whatever, that's like long-term growth. It's not really producing income for me now, but it's building wealth via equity, right? But the income comes generally probably 90% from my mortgage broker business. And then, maybe another 10% through private lending and some consulting.
And on the mortgage side of things, again, so your company, the Mortgage Approvals Team Ottawa. So you started that. Well, you helped start that. You were a part of that. And how long has that been now? 5 years?
It's been about 4 or 5 years. Can't remember. Yeah. So I own a team with two other guys, Ambera and Adil, who we have 62 agents as of today. We are the second biggest producing team in Canada with the brokerage.
Wow.
We're about 5,000 agents, so we have the biggest team. Second biggest team, and that's based on commissions earned. Okay. So I mean, yeah, we got that, and then last year I finished number 14 in Canada out of 4,800 mortgage brokers.
That's as independent, like as a solo broker. Wow.
I finished 14 in Canada. Ambera finished number 1. I mean, that's out of our brokerage, but there's 4,800 agents in Canada. I mean, it's not a small pool, I think. So
that's super impressive, man. Good for you guys.
Let's think about when we met 5 years ago. I was a realtor. I'm like, I never made any money as a realtor. I was
we had a lot of fun. For anyone that doesn't know, and most people probably wouldn't, Brock and I met working on a real estate team together at Remax. And it was an amazing experience. We had a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. I look at all the people I know and all the places I'm at right now because of all the connections I have. A lot of that came from that team, man.
Yeah.
Next course, shout out.
Sure.
A lot of good things.
That was an experience for sure.
Yeah.
Let's get into your investment portfolio. You've got a pretty extensive portfolio, and I want to know, what do you invest in primarily, and what type of opportunities do you look out for?
Yeah, good question. So, I mean, when I first started buying 10 years ago, I was literally, again, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just kind of started buying stuff. But most of my focus was cash flow, because everybody talks about cash flow.
Right.
But the thing is, I didn't have any income at the time. So I actually needed the cash flow to finance my life. Right now, I have enough income elsewhere coming in monthly. I don't give a shit if a property gives me $300 a month cash flow. I don't care.
Right.
So my investment focus has completely switched to just growth. Okay. I want properties that are going to appreciate and pay down the mortgage and give me no hassle. So that has led me to basically just buying massive amounts of brand new properties.
And that's brand new in terms of that could be anything. Like, it could be a multi-unit, could be like a set of rows, single family homes.
Yep. So I bought in the last year, I bought 3 row homes brand new in Chrysler. They're up. I talked to Gibbs 2 days ago because he was the listing agent for the builder. I bought them for $317. They're worth $550 now. I bought 3 of them.
Insane.
So that's in the last year. I bought 4 brand new semis in Gatineau. They're up about $70,000 a piece. They closed 4 months ago. We bought 30 row homes in Edmonton that are up 1.1 million in 2 months.
Are those the ones that you were talking about that have the income property as well? Like, they're 2 units?
Correct. So all the stuff we're buying out in Alberta, we've bought 138 units in Alberta. We've closed on about half, and the rest are like firm but just haven't closed yet. They're all brand new properties, either semis, rows, or singles with legal basement apartments. And I'll give you an example, man. Let's just say you're in Orleans, you bought a brand new, fully detached home, brand new, with a legal basement apartment. What'd that go for in Orleans?
Oh, I mean, like $1 million, basically.
$1 million. That's what I was thinking. We bought them for $535.
Yeah. See,
in Edmonton, they're all those ones specifically. Those don't even close till December. Those are now selling for $615.
And you know what's cool about what you're talking about here is that when you speak with most people about buying property, everyone is obsessed with like, I need to save, I need to get in, buy my own home where I'm going to live in the city that I'm living at. And then they don't think of opportunities like where you're buying what they want to buy here, but can't, but they could buy that in Edmonton for $500,000, let's say, or whatever. And then they rent it out, and then they could just stay renting where they are. And then they're in the game, they're building their equity, et cetera, right?
Well, exactly. I mean, when you're buying as an investment, it's about numbers, man. I had a conversation a couple of days ago where a new investor didn't want to buy in Smith Falls because they didn't want to drive there every day to manage them. Like, that's not, you don't drive to your rental.
Yeah.
You just don't do it. But that's the just lack of knowledge that like, you don't need to drive every day. Once a year, you might go to Smith Falls to look at your property. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, I don't care. Like we're Alberta is booming. There's a lot of movement going on there. I'm not going to say it's going to be the hottest market ever, but we'll shift our focus.
Yeah, exactly. There's stuff for you there right now.
All the properties that I own. How many properties do you think that I own in Ottawa?
Right now, I don't know, maybe a handful.
One, and it's where I live.
Oh, that's it. So they're all gone. Okay.
Okay. So, yeah, to your exact point, I don't like it as an investment. Like where you live is where you live. I'm moving to Gatineau. Like, I bought that house first. That's not bought as an investment. That's bought because I want it. It gives me joy as a person. Where you live is where you live. Where you invest is where it makes most sense to invest.
Yeah, and that's what I think a lot of people forget about.
We're looking at Newfoundland right now. I mean, Newfoundland, you can get this kind of stuff for a quarter of the price. It's numbers, man.
Yeah. And people need a place to live. You're going to get a good income. It'll balance out.
So we're watching all the stats, and it just makes a lot of sense right now. All of our projects are doing well. We're raising a lot of capital from investors. I mean, it's going well.
Yeah. So back to that before I forget, you mentioned I want people to understand, because I know this, and I think it's great what you do. I know you have a couple of key partners, but I also know that occasionally you'll post up saying, I have this, I'm looking for X amount of investors with X amount of dollars. So you're always actively looking to bring in new people. And the way that I see it is it's great, because I don't see it as you looking for money. You're looking to find people that might be interested in getting involved in something and being a part of something bigger that they might not have had the opportunity to be a part of before.
Correct. So it took us a while. So Brad and I, my partner in West, it took us a while to build the system. Maybe a year and a half. We're looking at all these different options for people who raise capital, blah, blah. And we have our own system. So what we actually do is Brad is in charge of finding the deal. And once we have the deal accepted, I take control of the entire project. I run all the legal, all the financial, raise all the capital, the management, everything. And our structure is, I got a couple of rules that other maybe people like myself don't do. First rule is we always put our own money into the game. So if I say, hey, Greg, we're doing this project, invest 50 grand. The first fucking thing I do is I put my money with your money. If I think you should put your money somewhere, that means that I better fucking be ready to put my money where my mouth is. So all of our projects, we put our own cash in as investors.
Yeah.
We're also always the biggest investor. Always. So what that does is just, it pretty much solidifies our credibility and alleviates any stress or anxiety that a client might have. They're like, well, they're putting their own money and more than me into the same project.
It gives them a sense of security, big time.
It's just like, I'm putting my own money in the game. If I make money, you make money. If I lose your money, that means I lose my money.
Yeah.
Okay. And we also believe in transparency. So everybody in the projects, like you said, this is our project. I run the project as project manager, but it is our project. Everybody has access to every single document, all the financials, all the bank statements, the legal work. They can call the property manager, talk to tenants. Everybody as investor has access to everything. It's a transparent system. And I believe fully that's how you create
trust, for sure.
Trust is, I just had this. If people don't trust you, like even despite my past, I rebuilt my brand. If people didn't trust me, I couldn't walk into a room and raise $1 million in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good projects, man. So, and the beauty is this is that, you know, as a passive investor, you could invest in one of these projects without having to, it's passive, right?
Yeah,
You're
exactly. Well, that's the whole thing.
you're not
You're not concerned about it. It's growing. Like it's just your money. It's parked. It's growing, and you're always there. Whoever's invested is always going to be updated. They're going to know, and then I imagine like it locks in for a certain term, and then you can cash out when.
Yeah, so we either look at refinance or selling, and everybody, you know, if we sell a project, and let's just say we sell the project, we make $1 million. You have 10% of the company, you get 100 grand.
That's awesome. I love it, man. That's great. Okay, so I want to get into your books.
Yeah,
I've read your first book, The Investor Mindset. Yeah, I did. I haven't read the second one. I need to go on Amazon and order a copy. And what's that?
On Amazon, or I can even just email you a PDF.
No. I support, bro.
I didn't. Honestly,
I got to buy a book.
I didn't write books to sell books. I wrote books to tell my story and brand myself. I'm not helping.
Yeah. No. I understand that. And so you've got, and those have been doing well, I'm assuming, and you've got the third, because I mean, you've got a third one coming up.
That's correct. Yeah. So the first one is called The Investor Mindset. That's about basically my rise and fall and back up again, and all the lessons I've learned from all my failures and how I spun them into just being a better person and a better investor. And what's cool about that book is that everybody I've talked to is just because everybody can relate to these types of things. Like who hasn't failed before? Who hasn't had negative thoughts? Who hasn't, you know, these are common human emotions, right? And then the second book is called How to Retire in 10 Years. And it's about all the things I've done in my 10-year career as an investor to get to a point of almost absolute financial freedom. It's stuff like the mathematics behind investments, some of the systems I use, some of the technology, some of the people I have in my network. Yeah. And then the third one called Mortgage Financing for Canadians, a detailed playbook on mastering the game of money, is the equivalent of a mortgage manual. It literally is raw. It has everything to do with the mortgage industry in Canada, from rental income to properties to child support and alimony and investment properties and B lenders and A lenders and private lenders and flipping houses and everything, man.
That's wild, man. And that one comes out in July?
Yeah, I'm still finishing it, but it has to go through, but it's aiming for July, and then it has to go through an edit process, and you got to make it all fancy and design the cover. Well, I actually have the cover, but design like the page layout and all that stuff.
I like the cover. The Scrabble, it's Scrabble, right? Or a crossword?
Yeah, so it's actually, ironically, I'm meeting the guy that did that, lives in Toronto. I'm meeting him about half an hour.
Oh, cool. Right on, man. Do you have a favorite book out of the three?
I think I like, that's a good question, man. Number one was good because it rebuilt my brand, right? When I was down in the shitter, I said, how do I rebuild my brand? And I said, you know what? I got to tell my story. So the first book, I don't not necessarily like it as a writer or the content, but it changed my life, man.
Yeah.
When I published that book, that's when I went from zero back up again, and it just made me who I am today. But the second book is a bit more specific on what you can do as an investor.
Yeah. No, it's great, and I can see the from 1, 2 to 3, like the progress of you as a person as well in terms of your. It's really cool, like the way that you laid it out. I like it, man.
Yeah, number 4. Who knows, man? I mean, maybe it'll be about raising capital, like who knows?
Yeah, that'd be a good one too. Is there one part of your business that you enjoy better than the other? I guess everything kind of helps. Like it works in synergy. It's a very synergistic businesses that you have. But is there one thing that you enjoy doing more than the next?
You know what? Well, the mortgage broker business is, that's good because I make a pile of cash, right? So there's that. And that's good. I do love it, but it's very, very stressful. Okay, there's a lot of stress that you're dealing with. Clients that are crazy. No, justifiably so. It's a stressful. Lenders that are inefficient and changing rules. That's a lot of stress. What's really cool is like when I went on 2 days ago, where I walk on stage into a group of 150 people I never met, and after speaking for 15 minutes, strangers are ready to throw money at me. And that is just so profoundly rewarding, because it's like, I don't know what I said, but they absolutely trust me, and they should. But I mean, it's just crazy that you have that influence, or you can, people have confidence in your ability, and that's just unbelievable, man.
That's very cool. And what I like about it, I mean, you know, I'm probably a bit biased because I know you and everything too, but it's like you don't do that. Like, you're not necessarily really trying to do that. You're just telling your story. You're saying, this is how it is. This is what works for me. And then it resonates with these people. And then they want to get to know you more, and they want to do business with you.
It's true. Like 2 weeks ago, we had an event in Ottawa. Brad flew down from Calgary, and it was literally an investor appreciation night. Honestly, it was just 42 of my investors come, and let's just have some good food and wine. And some of my investors never met each other. So it's a meet and greet. There was no agenda other than thank you. Thank you. And we probably had about $1.2 million committed to our other projects, just from people in the room feeling the vibe. We didn't do a presentation saying, hey, here's our project. Look at this. Here's the return. There was none of that.
Yeah. It
was just like, we're having drinks, and new investors say, you know, put me down for $100,000 in that project. I'm like, and it was cool. Like, so the next morning, you know, we had a little bit of hangover. We're talking about, like, this is magical, man. And it sounds, it's magical that people will trust and have confidence in you from just a few words, man. I mean, so that is mad. Like, that is just pure, it inspires me to continue to be better and to grow when you have that kind of influence over people. And again, rightfully so. We're not selling used vacuums here. I apologize if anybody's a used vacuum salesman on this call, but it's just like, people just absolutely trust you. And I protect that trust, man. That's why we've had no defaults in any of our projects. We've never lost a cent in my private mortgages. I protect my investors, because that trust to me means so much. It's everything to me.
I got a good follow up to this. Like, I mean, you know, it's the way you do things. I find it very empathetic, because you genuinely want to help, and you you know, you can feel for the person that needs help. Now, you know, being that you've traveled so much, and like, you know, knowing that I know that I'm a much better person in general, just from all the traveling that I've done and seen different cultures. And I haven't done, like, I've done enough, but I haven't done as much as I wanted to. And I know I'm going to do more, but I know that I've done more than a lot of people have. So, you know, what I'm trying to get to is, here with you, do you find that your travels, you know, keeps you motivated to do better, and gives you a bigger respect for the average person that some people might not understand?
What it does is, traveling gave me a appreciation for the luck of the draw that I was just simply born a white male in Canada.
Wow. Okay.
You know, and that's a profound statement. When people say you're so lucky, I say, no. Luck means that I don't deserve anything I have. I busted my balls and came from, I deserve it. But where the luck comes in is just literally me being born in this country.
Yeah, that's wild.
I take advantage of every opportunity I can. It is a privilege that I can come in. I have a Canadian passport. I don't have to struggle to, like, I can maneuver through the system easily because I was born here. I've met a lot of people that if they had the right passport, they'd be very successful, but they were just born in the wrong place. And on the flip side, I've met a lot of Canadians that abuse their privilege of being Canadian. And they do fucking zero with their life. I'm like, you should swap it out with this guy, because he deserves to be there.
Yeah. That I was looking for a little bit of that in your answer, because I agree 100%. And that's something that you learn, especially through traveling, is that, you know, we take a lot of people here take shit for granted, and they don't understand how privileged they are. And it's kind of gross at times to see, but you know.
When Brad was on stage 2 days ago, we were talking kind of about this concept. It's like, look, I'll help you, and it can be great if you want to work. But if you don't want to work, don't fucking waste my time. And he said, don't waste my time. You're dead to me. And I kind of believe that. I mean, it's very brash, but I believe that.
Yeah.
Like, you should thank Lord that you're Canadian and have all these opportunities at your disposal. But some people just don't do anything, and then they still complain.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you see this every day in our business. It's just like, you don't deserve that passport. And that has changed. Traveling is really, I love the world, and you meet so many different people and cultures and smells and sounds and sights, but you always naturally compare it to where you're at. And just, like it's.
Do you have like a blueprint, like an elements of success kind of list that you've developed over the years?
I don't know. Maybe I haven't.
It's a tough question. I know. It's deep.
The biggest thing I think people should do that don't do is just fucking pull the trigger, man.
Yeah.
Like, I look at all the stuff when I started, I only started because I knew I had to start. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no money. I made more mistakes than anybody could ever relate. I went down into the ditch. And at the end of the day, I'm at where I'm at because I pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
People don't pull the trigger. That's the rest will come, but just get it into the game, man.
I know, or else when you get older, you're stuck in that anxiety head state going, what if?
People love to justify their inaction. That's one thing I've learned. And like, even now the rates are up, right? People are like, oh, I'm just not going to buy. Now I'm like, you didn't want to buy. You haven't bought ever. So this is just another reason. I call it excuse. There's a difference between a reason and excuse to justify your inaction. And that is the biggest thing. Just get into the game, man. You'll learn as you go.
I love that, justifying your inaction. Yeah.
What it is, though.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, true. I remember during COVID, right? People like, oh my God, the market's going to tank. I'm not buying. And then now the market's too hot. I'm not going to buy. I'm like, so you're not going to buy when it's down. You're not going to buy when it's up. So when the fuck are you going to buy?
Never, man.
I'm just going to take it. Like just justify tell themselves anything.
So speaking of that, what are your thoughts right now on the state of real estate in Canada? I mean, the budget, I think we know, is just a piece of comedy in terms of how I look at it. But I mean, for overall in Canada, how do you feel about real estate in general, and where do you see it going?
So real estate in Canada. So, okay, the general comment is real estate in Canada is probably one of the best investments in the world. And if we get to a state where we can't trust real estate in Canada, then the world's over anyways. So it doesn't. Okay. Right? That's my overall comment. With the recent changes now, do I believe, in our hometown of Ottawa, and I'm sitting in Toronto right now, we're a 500 square foot condo is $1.5 million. Do I think there is a affordability crisis? Do I think prices will go down slightly? Yes. I mean, so let's talk about that budget or the recent increase by Bank of Canada. I mean, right. So that's generally designed to cool inflation. And I actually support that. I mean, even though I have most of my mortgages are variable, it costs me more. I'm like, I support the concept behind it. Canada is expensive. Every time I come home from my trip, like, you can't go a day in Canada without spending hundreds of dollars on something.
Yeah.
There's always, groceries, a utility bill, a phone bill, a gas. I mean, it's hundreds of dollars all the time, everywhere. So yes, I mean, prices do need to calm down. And that is where the Bank of Canada increases rates to kind of calm that inflation. So, but it's going to take time. Like, the problem now, I made a post about this today because of the rate increase, is that for the next 6 to 12 months, people are going to feel the pinch, man, because prices don't change overnight when the Bank of Canada increases the rates. No, You don't go to the gas station now and then, Bank of Canada increased the rates, now gas is less. No, it takes time. There's also a supply and demand issue where because of supply and demand, the prices are still going to be high. It takes a while to cool them down. So right now at the gate, people are going to feel the pinch because their expenses are higher and then the prices are still high.
Yeah.
Okay. But now what you'll probably see in terms of the real estate market, to your point there, is that, I mean, naturally when things go up, it's more expensive, so people can afford less. And that will generally cause prices to decrease, or the buyer pool or buyer demand to decrease. Because some people, there's a lot of buyer psychology right now where they're like, first time buyers like, the world's over, rates are up, the fucking apocalypse, I'm just not going to buy. And maybe you saw that in your clients. They're just freaked out. It's too expensive. But they just stop, even though it's crazy. Like, even if the rates went up, like on a $500,000 mortgage, it goes up maybe 110 a month. That's not the end of the world. But people look at all these little news bits and think everything's an apocalypse.
Yeah, I mean, my big thing is, well, you know, when I talk to clients, you know, we talk about this on the other podcast all the time. Like, I say to them when I know that they're getting to that point of pulling the trigger or waiting, I say, listen, are you ready to buy a home now? Can you buy a home now? Do you want to buy a home now? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, then let's go buy a home now. You know, if you're not ready and if you're afraid, I'm like, I don't want you to buy out of fear. If there's something in your head that's telling you not to do it, then don't do it. You know, I'm not here to force you into doing anything, but it's like you know, without pulling the trigger, you know, but they have to make that decision. I'm just a big believer in, you know, you can wait for forever, like you're saying, and then nothing's going to happen. You're never going to do anything. So it's like, you can't sit here and get upset that the prices are a little bit higher now, and you might not make the same kind of money that everybody made in the last few years in real estate, but it doesn't matter. You need a place to live. You want to get into the game. You want to build some equity. You got a roof over your head. Go for it.
Exactly. I agree with that point. People they overanalyze what these small power of media, right? Oh my God, the Bank of Canada increased rates. What does that actually? Let's break it down. What does that actually mean? Okay, your rate went up a bit. Your mortgage payment's a little bit higher. Okay, does that mean existing homeowners that have variable rates all of a sudden they're losing their house? No. Does it mean housing is no longer in demand? No. So why does everybody freak out? Yes, it went up a bit. Okay, let's continue to buy houses, and you have to live somewhere. It's like you take one article and they just spin it so far into left field, but they don't actually process what this actually means in terms of a real effect. The only thing that's changed is it's a little bit more expensive now.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world, and things always balance out.
It's not the end of the world. People, I love the real estate market. People, it's so cyclical. Okay. People don't just realize it was a boom. So now it's going to be a correction. Okay. It was still a net gain.
Yep.
And guess what happens after this? If prices go down, guess what's going to happen after? Prices will go up, and then they'll go down, and then they'll go up. It's like, I relate it to this example. When someone in January in Canada says, this is fucking bullshit about the weather, I'm like, it happens every January.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing.
It's every winter in January, the weather's terrible.
Yeah.
Real estate is cyclical. And you just look at that's how human emotion rises. Okay. Like look at when during COVID when prices were rising. Part of that was because people wanted to buy knowing it was going to go up. So there was a huge rush to buy to make money. And this works in reverse. People are scared prices are going to go down. So they wait so they can think they can buy it lower. And then when there's not enough fucking demand, people like, oh my God, prices are lower. And then what happens when prices are lower? A lot of people want to buy cheap houses, and then it drives the value up.
It goes back up. Dude, I'm totally using that winter thing. I can't handle it. You know, January, winter comes every year.
But people will literally say, they won't complain. They're like, this is bullshit. I'm like, it's not a surprise, man. So now this is absolutely cyclical economics and inflation. Prices go up, you cool them down, it slows everybody down. Now when it's at the rock bottom, everybody loves low prices, like at a fucking flea market. And then what happens? More people start buying, supply again, and force up prices. And everybody and it goes, it's watching a circle go around and around. And we're just like,
we're at the peak right now, and that's all it is.
Tell people, how is this Bank of Canada going to affect on me as an investor? About this much.
Yeah.
Literally zero effect. I'm going to continue to look at investments strategically, and that's it. So, I mean, but people get it's these fucking media articles, man. I saw an article the other day. It's like, maybe you should consider not buying a home for the citizen. I'm like, that's what you're telling your society? What are you doing?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of opinions, and there's a lot of bad information out there, right? But like you said, you just keep doing what you do and do what we do best.
I always say this, okay? How many people do you know that have a lot of real estate that are poor? How many people that do you know that have no real estate that are poor?
Mm-hmm.
Answer that question. I don't know. I don't think I even know a landlord that is poorly off. I don't think I can name one, to be honest.
And all they did was take that first step.
Get into the game and ride it out.
Yeah.
It's like having a stock, right? It's like I have stocks. I invest in stocks. I'm like, guess what happens when a stock goes down? I ride it out.
Yeah. It's like what I'm doing right now.
Let's just say all my properties. Okay, let's just say the market drops 15%. What does that actually change for me in reality? Nothing other than the value of my asset on a spreadsheet goes down.
Right.
It doesn't mean I lose my house. I still pay my mortgage. The tenants still live there and pay rent. And then when that asset goes back up again, now my spreadsheet's worth more. That's the real effect. People talk about I had a client, first time buyer. She's my age, never bought. Been talking about every year we talk about the same thing. Like, oh my God, I'm not going to buy. There's going to be a housing crash. I said, Emma, if that's her real name or not. I said, if you buy a house and then the market crashes, I go, what does that actually mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, does that mean you're kicked out of your house? Well, no, because I'll make my payment. And what the fuck you care? It's temporarily an asset value on paper.
It's temporary.
Temporary.
People think that if there's a major correction or something, that they're just gonna that their money's gone or something. They just think that it doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly my point, and that's not the reality. People look at these articles, they don't actually process what they're reading in terms of what that actually means in reality.
Yeah.
Okay. Market crashes, great. Don't sell it. I have a golden rule. I've never lost a cent in real estate. Why? I never sell at a loss.
Yeah. You hold it until there's going to be a gain, for sure.
A great example is I sold a property in Ottawa on November 9th for $785,000. A year later, I had it listed for $599 and couldn't sell it. And I said, well, I'm not fucking selling it because I refused it. It was a gorgeous property. I knew it would go up. I sold it for another extra $185K a year later, made a good profit.
Yeah. See, amazing.
I'm not selling at a loss. I have some stocks that are down now. I'm not selling it. I know they're cyclical. I invest in stocks that are cyclical. It's like watching this. So I just buy it at a low and wait for it to be at a high.
That's it. Sit and watch. Sit and wait.
Yeah, you sit and wait. The people who lose in real estate or stocks are ones that don't have the stomach for a down market.
Mm-hmm.
Keep forgetting that it's cyclical.
Yeah.
You're forced to sell at some specific time. Like imagine you bought a house in Ottawa and then you had to relocate to say Toronto or out west or something. So you had no choice. You had to sell it. And the market at that time happened to be down.
Mm-hmm.
They might have to sell at a loss. But that's because people sometimes put themselves in positions where they don't have flexibility. I would never buy something if I was forced to sell it at any point other than when I wanted to.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Okay. If you can afford to ride out any wave, you're pretty much setting yourself up for foolproof.
Yeah. I love it, man. Listen, okay, this has been an amazing conversation. I can't wait to get this out for everybody to watch. What is next for Brock Frost? What's next on the agenda? Do you have anything big that you're working on right now?
There's something big. So I'm going to be creating a massive investment fund. Like I just finished saying, I love raising capital. I love the energy it gets. You're working with so many smart and educated people for one specific purpose. I'm just going to start scaling that into very, very large projects. You ever drive by, you're out for a drive in Ottawa, you look at this building, it's 200 units, and you're like, somebody owns that.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be me.
Right on, man. I love it.
After big stuff, man.
Okay, and where can everybody find you on?
I said we're going after big stuff.
Big stuff. Oh
my God! I didn't.
Oh, That's too much.
Yeah, a double entendre there.
Yeah, and you didn't even think about that either.
That's natural.
You didn't plan that one. That's good. I like that. So we're going to put all your info in the liner notes here because I know there's a lot. And, Frost Financial is the main site. It's kind of like your hub for everything.
Yep.
Capitus is your private lending firm, correct?
Correct.
You've got the mortgage approvals team. You're writing the books.
Yep.
You know what? Actually, briefly, like before we just get out of here, I want to say this. You do a lot of charity work, actually. Like I've seen you do stuff most recently in Brazil. Is that what you were doing? Tell us a little bit about that before you go here.
I mean, yeah, that's just always like that's part of the whole thing when you travel, right? You're like, oh my God, like these people are smiling and they got 17 people in one bed. I'm like, how could you as any human being with a soul not want to give back to that, right? So I mean, I've done a few things. I used to have an orphanage in Medellin, Colombia. So I was sponsoring an orphanage called it was called Casa de Nicolas in Medellin. That was actually closed through lack of funding from the government.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah, it was, man. It was for my mortgage approvals team. One thing that we're big into CHIO, right? So last year we raised it was $88K that we gave to CHIO for my mortgage team for the golf tournament. I couldn't believe it.
Wow,
$88K. So this year this will be our 4th year. This year we'll probably raise over 100K. And then you as a dad, man. I mean, I'm not a father, but you hear good stories about CHIO, man, and the care, right? So that's local, right? So. I just believe in overall give back, man. I mean, I had a bursary at a high school awarded to the kid with the biggest entrepreneurial spirit. I believe in all angles giving back, as your kids, every time I see your kids, they're into my wallet, right?
Yeah, you're pretty awesome.
I was telling that story. It's like, Alexa's just like, oh my God, again, I know what you're going to do. It's like, so sorry to bother you with my,
with my money. Yeah.
I mean, you got to give back. I mean, if you don't give back, like how do you actually feel good?
Yeah. It's true.
Like, I mean,
it's just a feeling. It's a good feeling.
It is. That's part of that ties over to the job too. It's not charity what I do in my work. But when you actually legitimately make money knowing that what you're doing is actually helping somebody else, like how fucking magical is that?
Yeah, that's wonderful.
That's insane, man. So yeah, buddy.
Okay, man. Well, listen, Brock, thanks for being on episode number 2, Real Estate Reality. We will let everybody know where to find you, and hopefully, maybe you'll have some conversations after people share and watch this podcast. Real Estate Reality. I'm Greg Campbell. You know what time it is. It's time to get into real estate, health, wealth, and success.
All right, brother.
Thanks again to Brock Frost, and thanks to my producer, Stephen Hopkins, for helping putting the show together. We'll see you on the next one.
See you, gents. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate the love. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make that bell go ding-dong to get the notifications. A guitar!